Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood-turning tools. Made by a woodturner, for woodturners. Now I'm setting up on the drill press, and I'm going to do a 1/2 inch hole in the hole that I did for the worm screw, and this is going to go 1.5 inches deep, so it's not going to go through the bottom. And you can see 2 inches out I made another mark. That's going to be the hole for the first closest setting for that bar that helps you tear off the paper towel when it's almost empty. And then out here is the last hole. Make sure when you put this hole here that you don't have it so close to the edge that you're going to go through the side. You don't want to have a peephole inside of your base. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and drill this hole. Got it centered up. There we go. And I have a depth stop set. So there we go. And if this wants to spin on you, you can put a clamp on here to hold this, but right now this seems to be working okay. So there we go here. And the last hole here. Again, make sure you don't go so far out to the edge that you go through the side. We're going to cheat it a little bit there. There we go. And then once I get this done, I have one more hole to drill. And let me show you here. That hole is going to be over here. And it's going to be in this small blank, and it's the hole that we make the top out of. So I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch through this one. Now we're ready to sand the top, and to do that, remember, we made that groove inside here with the dovetail shape, and you can see on the jaws here we have a dovetail shape. So this fits in here just like so. It's only 1/8 of an inch deep. It's really cool. So we're going to open the jaws, and it's going to expand into that groove, and that's not going anywhere. That's a really cool way to hold wood, and it looks like a design element. It doesn't look like you did anything, special to put it on there. Going to turn the speed way down, turn her up. Since this is raw wood straight from the factory, we're going to start with 80 grit, work our way up to 240, and then we're going to start working on the spindles. I always wipe the dust off between between grids. I think I got a new musical instrument here. Now I've mounted the long piece, which is this piece here, and from here down to the base where it touches is 11 3/4 inches. So that means our paper towel roll will be right in that area. You want it to come up a little bit proud. So I need tenons, and I've marked out on the end here, this is going to be the top part. So I'm going to cut the end off here in a little bit just to get rid of the marks from the live center. So that's going to be a 1/2 inch, and then all the way down on the other end here, this is about 1.5 inches I'm going to have to play with. If it's too long, I'll just nip it off on the bandsaw so it fits down in the hole, flush. But the first thing I want to do is grab my parting tool, and we're going to delineate this edge right here so I know where I am as I'm making my design. And I rounded this down to 1 3/8 of an inch in thickness because that is as wide as you want it to go to be able to fit inside the tube on the paper towel roll. Now if you buy a different brand and find out it's different size, I would adjust accordingly. Anyway, I'm going to take my spindle gouge here. This is just a standard grind spindle gouge. It's a big old fat wide one. And what I like about it is it's slow, not cumbersome, but it is a slow cutter. In other words, I don't make really sharp corners with it, and so it doesn't run out of control on me, and I can make big, gentle shapes. And that's what I'm wanting to do right now, is make a big, gentle curve, because you can see what I did here. It's wider at the top, and then it narrows down. I want it wide at the top, by the way, because that way the paper towel roll won't go back and forth when you're pulling stuff off. It'll have very little wiggle room. So anyway, we're just going to make our cut like this, just take it off nice and clean. I move my body, and it's about the shape I want. I want to leave it as clean a finish on here as I can with my tool, but the fact is that maple sands very nicely, so it's very forgiving. So I'm going to come over to here, and I want to start bringing this down a little bit to get it narrower. So I'm just moving my body in kind of a scooping motion, and it's a real quick way to narrow down the wood without having to take long strokes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start trying to blend the shape, because what I want is a curve throughout the entire feel of the piece here. So in other words, I want it to be sexy. I don't want it to come here and be a straight line. I want it to come in, curve gently, and then come back out at the base. So I'm going to keep working on this and work my way down to the end, and then we're going to size the tenons, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, now I have the shape the way I want it, and the next step is to do the tenons. Well, we drilled a 1/2 inch hole, so I've set my calipers to 1/2 inch in diameter here. So what I want to do is come in here with my parting tool on the very end. You can do this one-handed. The tool rides fine that way. I'm going to come in. I'm going to part it down to a 1/2 inch. Now I'm using a what is that thing called? The drive center I'm using, a stem center. Thank you. There you go. And the stem center is actually a 1/2 inch. So I'm coming in really close to touching the tool there, but now I'm clearing right there. But the cool thing about the stem center is this is for production turners. The lathe is still running, right? Well, I'm going to release this, and look, this stops spinning. So that's still running, that stops spinning. I can bring this down now and see if it fits in the hole. And it's really close, really tight. So I'm going to come back here, and the way you work this now is I'm going to put this back onto the little point. Nothing's spinning because the teeth haven't engaged yet. Bring this back up on the tailstock, now watch. And it starts up again. You're doing a lot of production turning. That is a fast way of taking something off the lathe and putting it back on again. Now I'm going to bring this down just a hair's breadth, because I know where I am now. We're going to do this again. And if this takes several times, that's good, because then you're not going too far. Ah, whoo, nice sound. That's a nice tight fit, so I know I'm there. So I'm going to go ahead and make the tenon the rest of the distance here, then go over on this end and do the same thing. Then we'll be moving on to the little, that thing. I don't have a name for it yet. Okay, well now I have the thing with no name that rips the towels pretty much turned down here, as you can see. And I've gone ahead and put the tenon down. I've got that. Usually I say work from your way here all the way back, which I did. But what I want to do is just simply show you how to make this ball detail on the end, because that's the only thing that's different from anything we've done so far. So anyway, I'm going to take my tiny little 1/4 inch spindle gouge, which is really cool. The other spindle gouge I was using was big, fat, and heavy, and it takes slow turns. This one is a speed demon. And you can see I made marks there to give me an idea where I want this ball to be on here. And so now I'm just clearing away the wood. Remember, you have a live center with a point right here. That point goes in about that far. That's why I want the ball to end about right there, so I don't have a hole in the top of the ball. So anyway, we're going to just make a bead right here, like so. I could have used that point tool again. I just wanted to show you a different way to make a bead. This was a little more traditional. So I'm going to come in here and make that delineation right there. Keep coming in a little more. And I'm not making a perfect circle. I'm making more of an oval, because the ball I'm going to make that's going to go on the top of the center of the paper, whoa, it's loose, of the paper towel holder is going to be an oval also. So I want them to look similar, so they complement each other. So that looks really good there. I just want to make my transition right here very clean so I don't have to sand down in there. Put the tool right on its edge. See how that's going in nicely. And then we're going to come here and just clean up this little transition. And just blend that into there. Maybe not so steep. There we go. That looks good. Now here comes the fun part. We're going to part this off while it's on the lathe. And I actually switched out my dead center, or drive center I was using. This is the one I had on before. It's a steb center. I don't know if you can see this, but it has a spring in it. Maybe I can do this there. It's hard to show. It has a, ow, don't poke your finger with it. Anyway, it has a spring. That little tip moves back and forth. If I had that in here still, as I parted this off, I'd be pushing the wood into the live center, and I couldn't get the part off. So I put in a regular 4-prong drive center, so it's not going to push it. And when I part this off, it's going to come off cleanly. And why I am parting it off is because I want to leave as little wood to sand here as I need. And I've already gone ahead and sanded everything, but this tip as it is. But you know, I do need to sand this a little bit before I part it off because that will save me some time. So once I do that, then we're going to part it off. Okay, now that's better. Now we're going to part it off. Bring the tool in. You just want to whittle away the wood just a little bit. And hard maple is really strong, so you can make this tenon as narrow as you want. Just remember there's a hole in there because there's a point in there. So now we're getting close. I'm going to hold it with my hand until I do the final cut here. I'm rubbing the bevel too because that makes it a little cleaner. It won't require as much hand sanding then. And let's see, we can pretty much take it off as flush as we want. There we go. Woo-hoo. There we got it. Looks pretty good. There, now we got the thing with no name done, and we're ready to move on to turning the cap for that. I'm drawing a line on here because this is going to be the width of the ball that goes on the top of the paper towel holder. But one thing, I turned this between centers a minute ago, and how do you hold something that has a hole in the center? Because remember we put that 1/2-inch hole to fit over the stem? Well, what you do is, see if this will come off, on your live center, you put a cone center on it. That just screws on, and then watch this, see how that fits right in there like so and centers up. So that holds you steady while you're doing that. But anyway, now we're in the chuck, we got our tenon turned and everything else, and all I'm going to do is just make a small bead on here that's going to kind of match the bead I made on the thing that has no name. We want to have a similar look. So anyway, I'm just going to start making this bead, and once I get the bead made, we're going to part it off just like we did the thing that has no name also, and have it all sanded up and be ready for assembly. And there you go. That's how you make your paper towel holder. I would take some Tite Bond and glue that in really solid. Make sure that's good. This never glues in because it needs to be removable. And this up here, also you don't glue it in. But once your glue has set up, then you can put a polyurethane finish on here because this will be in the kitchen probably and be around wet stuff. So you want the wood to hold up to splashing water and stuff. One other thing is, that's kind of a massive base, right? That's real big. Well, the reason it's so big is when you rip the paper towel off, there's weight to it and this won't tip over. But anyway, that is how you make your paper towel holder. So I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.